Triple H's 30-year in-ring career has come to a close, a career with highs, lows, great times, not so great times, moments that will truly live forever, and moments that make you say, what the fuck were they thinking when they came up with that? Well, I'm John Rentham with my real honest thoughts on Triple H's 30-year in-ring career coming to a close. News came out from an interview with Stephen A. Smith today. Triple H talked about the health issues that he experienced. Very, very scary stuff. Certainly happy that Triple H is going to be able to have a long life with his children and with his wife, and basically do stuff behind the scenes and not be in the ring anymore and risk his health. Very, very, very scary stuff. Whew, certainly haunting, but thankfully, he seems to be better now, and he talked all about that. I encourage you guys to check out that interview. It really was fucking eye-opening. Now, before I get too deep into this retrospective, one, I'm not going to be able to touch on every single goddamn moment from his career, because one, there's no way to do that with a 30-year in-ring career, and two, I will admit I was never the biggest Triple H fan. I respect the fact that he was a great in-ring competitor and has done a lot of good shit behind the scenes. There are other issues that I have with him, and I'm going to touch on some of those, but I'm also going to praise quite a bit of what he did, because for better or worse, he was a top guy. Some say that he was always able to work with the top guys, but never be the top guy. He was a pretty good champion. Obviously, there was a reign of terror, and there were some other moments that reflect badly on him and on the product. But he was really, really good in the ring. The Cerebral Assassin, The Game, which is something that, he did to honor Owen Hart, which I thought was very, very nice. And there's a lot of good shit that happened in Triple H's in-ring career and behind the scenes and all that stuff. And again, can't touch on all that, but a lot to talk about. I want to know your favorite and least favorite moments from Triple H's in-ring career in the comments, please. And let's talk about some of that stuff, because that's a long goddamn time to be in, one particular profession, especially to be an active in-ring competitor. I mean, yes, sure, the last time that he technically competed was, I think it was like against The Fiend or something like that. There really wasn't all that much to it. But the last actual match that he had was against Batista at WrestleMania 35. But still, considering when he started, and he, Killer Kowalski trained him, and he was on the independents for a little bit, started in 1992. He would get a call from WCW, would have a little bit of a run there, and would only have one pay-per-view match with them against Alex Wright at Starrcade 1994, when they were pushing Alex Wright, despite the fact that Alex Wright wasn't nearly ready for that push. And he was John Paul Levesque. He was supposed to be a French guy, and he was supposed to be this, despite the fact he was from, he was from the Northeast. I mean, he wasn't French. There was no way he could do. And I heard some of those promos. It wasn't exactly great, but then again, it's hard to do an accent that you're not comfortable with. And then he got the call from Vince, and was the Greenwich Blue Blood, and, was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and was given a solid push. He did have that feud with Henry O. Godwin. People always twist the narrative around that after the curtain call, and I'll come back to his other career, or before that in just a bit. People always come or say, oh, the hog pen and other stuff like that was because, the curtain call. The hog pen match, I believe, happened at the December 1995 In Your House. That also had British Bulldog against Bret Hart in a terrific WWE Championship match. But he feuded with Henry O. Godwin, which, yes, is hog, because Vince has the maturity of a 12-year-old. I would know nothing about having an immature sense of humor. But the hog pen match, he would then, he would have more good matches. He would get squashed by the Ultimate Warrior, Warrior taking his finish, and Warrior doing all this stuff. Warrior! That's what he would do, and then he beat Triple H and just beat him flat. Not that the match should have been that long, especially considering the fact that Warrior was not even the performer he was in 1992, and never really wanted to get any better. And yes, fuck the Ultimate Warrior, you know the rest. That's all I'm going to say. Triple H would get squashed by Warrior. He would then be part of the curtain call, and that would end up leading to a massive punishment. He did a hug thing with, he did a hug with Hall Nash and Shawn Michaels. Not Sean Waltman, because Sean Waltman was actually, I believe he was in rehab or something at that point. And Hall and Nash were leaving. Shawn was the champion. Triple H, it all fell on him. He was no longer going to win King of the Ring 1996, and to be perfectly honest, it worked out better for the company in the long run. It worked out well for Triple H, and it worked out well for Austin because Austin 316 was born. Triple H then would kind of just, he would get beat. He would just get beat down. He lost like an Intercontinental Championship tournament match to Sid, like really in a resounding fashion. I think it was on a Raw in September of 96, September or October. It might have been September. The whole point is he just got beat. He was just getting beaten to power. He had to learn to take shit or eat shit and like the taste of it and eat copious amounts of shit. Honestly, the curtain call did bother me too in retrospect, but realistically, I mean, kayfabe was already let out of the bottle at that point, but that was the Hallowed Halls of Madison Square Garden. However, credit to Triple H. And credit maybe to Vince being desperate for guys that would actually stick around with him as people were leaving and going to get bigger money from Turner. Triple H had been there, done that, the aftermath, and now that song's stuck in your head. Some people don't even know what the fuck song I'm talking about. He would win the Intercontinental Championship from Marvelous Mark Marrow. He would embark on a decent run as Intercontinental Champion. It would be a Survivor Series 96. He would compete against Goldust. In a 1990 match of the 1997 Royal Rumble, he would be in the Rumble match. He would lose the title to Rocky Maivia on Raw. I believe the same Raw, if I recall correctly, as Shawn Michaels lost his smile. And from there, Triple H would lose the championship. He would face off against, did he face off against, I think he faced off against Goldust again. Because he faced off against Owen at Mania 14. And they would continue, they would continue to do like some great thing. And honestly, Triple H was improving as a worker. They gave him Ode to Joy as his theme. They had Mr. Hughes as his heavy, and then Chyna was introduced. And Chyna and Triple H did get together over time, and then we know what happened there, and I'll touch on that in a little bit. But Triple H kept rising up as a performer as he got to the King of the Ring 1997. He would end up winning the thing. Him and Foley would have probably the least of their series of matches in 1997. That's not even a knock on it. Because Foley took some hard bumps. He took one particular bump through the goddamn announcer's table, but Triple H got the victory. He even, I think, ended up ditching the crown and stuff like that because it was really goofy by that point. It fit in 93 when Brett won it. It fit when Owen won it. Mabel didn't have a big enough crown for him. And in 1996, King of the Ring, Austin was like, I'm not wearing that shit. And Triple H and Mick Foley would embark on a feud that went through pretty much the beginning of the fall of 1997. They had a great match. If I remember right, I think they had a match at Canadian Stampede where they ended up out in the concourse or out in the area where, outside there. Triple H was bleeding, and they just kept doing all this stuff. And then they would have the cage match at SummerSlam, 1997, where great things happened because Foley got to emulate Superfly Jimmy Snuka, but Triple H got to rise in that big blue steel cage, that ugly steel cage. I have no idea how I managed to put up with that as a kid, but it was also one of the only steel cages I knew outside of what WCW did. And then Triple H continuing to rise up. Him and Chyna were a dynamite duo, along with Shawn Michaels. D-Generation X, you make the rules and we will break them. They were doing the shock jock stuff and doing the suck it. They were getting the calls from people. And then the match in Madison Square Garden on Raw. Foley got a huge pop as Cactus Jack. They had a terrific Falls Count Anywhere match. Great stuff. Foley pinned him, Cactus Jack pinned him on the stage. Chyna couldn't quite save him, just missed it by that much. And then they would do the press conference stuff where they mocked the USA Network deal. We will not say these words. And I didn't sleep with that young intern. I was up all night, doing that stuff. And Triple H, Shawn, Chyna, Rick Rude there briefly until he left because of the Montreal Screwjob. Triple H, of course, talking about the stuff with, basically saying, oh, fuck him. If he don't want to do business, you do business for him. And Triple H never really confronted Bret Hart about that because Bret was really pissed. And yes, I do want to say, Bret, my favorite wrestler of all time. This will be praiseworthy of Triple H. And I understand Triple H's point of view, but I also think that Bret was more in the right when it came to the Montreal Screwjob. If Shawn hadn't been pilled out of his goddamn mind, which he's admitted, then maybe things would have worked out a little bit better and business could have been done the right way. Now, excuse me. After that, Triple H would end up winning the European Championship because Shawn was a double champion. They would do a joke match on Raw. Triple H would end up winning and would have to defend the championship, but he also had a knee injury, and I think the knee injury might have actually been legit. I mean, like, they might have, kayfabed it for a little bit so he wouldn't have to drop the title, but he would enter a feud with Owen Hart, and from what I understand, the whole game thing came from, Triple H wanting to honor Owen, because Owen started calling himself, the Black Heart, the King of Hearts, the game, Owen Hart. He's not a nugget. Owen Hart is missed tremendously to this day. You could tell that it meant a lot to I mean, if you can find a way to get the Owen Hart tribute Raw, because I don't know if it's on the Peacock, and I don't know how much is added. It meant a lot to Triple H. Yeah, they did make fun of Owen a whole lot and everything, and DX got really out of control, but after Shawn had to step away because of the back injury and not because he had a whole bunch of stuff going on with him, Triple H took over, brought back Sean Waltman. He was now X-Pac, and they had Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, and honestly, that incarnation of DX, that made Triple H a fucking superstar. He was doing a lot of really good shit. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of DX, I've always felt that DX was a little bit overrated, my personal opinion. They created a lot of awareness for the product. Good, bad, or indifferent. They got a lot of attention. They did the invasion of Nitro and everything, and here's the question. Had they gotten in there, what if Ming was on the other side? Ming would have ripped their goddamn larynxes out. In one blow, he probably would have been able to do it. I mean, he bit a guy's nose off. Reportedly, I'm not going to tell Ming that he didn't. Ming, Haku, whatever name you want to go by. I wouldn't mess with him, and he's 60 now. But the DX antics continued. He entered a feud with The Rock over the Intercontinental Championship. Tremendous 2 out of 3 falls. Was it a strap? No, was it a strap? They had a fully loaded strap match. I know that. That might be 99. I know they had a 2 out of 3 falls match that ended after a 30-minute time limit with 1 fall each. And that's a way to extend it to SummerSlam 1998, where he won the Intercontinental Championship. Unfortunately, he did have a knee injury that would knock him out. They would do a tournament. I believe Shamrock would win the championship, or he's awarded the championship. Some of that stuff's a little bit muddy, but Triple H would be out for a little bit, would come back, and he would, DX would kind of make Mankind a de facto member. They would be in his corner. DX and the Corporation going at it. Triple H is part of the moment where Mankind won the championship. Austin, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. That pop where Austin's glass shatters, he hits Rock with the chair. 1, 2, 3, and just everybody explodes. Tape Raw, by the way, that beat a live Nitro and the finger poke of doom, and yes, it put butts in seats. From there, things are a little bit muddy. They'd split him and China up, and then he'd go alone against Kane at Mania 15. And then they get back together, him and China would get back together, and then he'd screw over X-Pac against Shane McMahon, would join the Corporation, after they just did a turn right there with China, with China just before. And then they do the corporate ministry thing. So this is where things get a little bit muddy. But then, Triple H and Rock would enter into a feud in 1999. And they would feud again in 2000. Tremendous matches, as you would expect. I believe that's where they had the fully loaded strap match. I believe so. If I get any years wrong, I apologize. People say, Triple H, I go his best. Whoever Triple H's best opponents are. You go Foley, he had really good matches with over a series of years. Undertaker, same thing. Austin, he had really good matches with Austin. I'd say The Rock and Triple H probably had the best. They probably had the best chemistry. Because Rock won it, or, Triple H won a Rock spot. Then Rock was on the ascent, even though he had been champion. After losing to Austin at Backlash 1999, he went away from the Corporation, and then the corporate ministry and all that bullshit. It was so goddamn bad, corporate ministry. But then we get SummerSlam 1999. Instead of doing China versus Austin, which is what they were possibly going to do, they ended up having Triple H in the slot. Imagine if China had beaten Austin, or if they had done a triple threat, and China had pinned Mankind instead and won the championship. Mankind would have been just fine because she beat a broken down Mankind. China, as the first and only woman to win the WWE championship, whether I'm a fan of China or not, I'll tell you this, that would have been something. That definitely would have been something. And if you want a different perspective on China, check out the Vice documentary, or the documentary that Vice brought out on China. There was a hodgepodge of all this footage and everything, and her piece of shit manager. But we get back to Triple H. He won the championship from Mick Foley the next night because Austin didn't want to do his job. Triple H didn't feel that he was necessarily ready. He did do that promo before. I am the fucking game. That there's nobody that bleeds, sweat or loves this business more than me. He talks about the curtain call thing, like how long is that can be held over my head, and and that makes sense. Actually, to be perfectly honest, it makes sense. And also, you hear he wasn't the best guy backstage. Even though he was a student of the game and Vince McMahon wanted him to be part of the creative, there was still the mindset like, okay, what the hell are we going to do here? Let's bring one of the boys back. That's fine. Him and Chyna are still together, and then they start the romance thing with him and Stephanie. Triple H is champion, loses the title to Vince, wins it back at the Six-Pack Challenge, Unforgiven 99. Has it for a little bit, loses it at Survivor Series 1999. Then they start doing the romance thing where Triple H had drugged Stephanie and put her in the Vegas chapel. And then we get to when he wins the championship back from Big Show, has a couple matches with Mick Foley as Cactus Jack at Royal Rumble 2000, excuse me, and again at No Way Out 2000, career versus title. And then Foley comes back 6 weeks later because Vince wanted to give him a Mania main event and a Mania moment and everything. Yeah, it's me, whatever. And then he embarks on being a champion for a little bit. The Mania 16 main event wasn't necessarily his fault. He did walk out as champion, but it should have just been Austin was injured at the time, Rock and Triple H, and it would have been a better match. And you could argue that maybe they should have had Rock do it, but boy, let me tell you right now, Backlash 2000, when Austin made his return, glass shatter, everybody went nuts, Rock beat him. They were just ready to have The Rock win. And then they had the terrific, very underappreciated Iron Man match where Triple H and Rock beat the shit out of each other. Told a great story through great impact. And that was one of the unsung Iron Man matches, long matches in WWE history, in my personal opinion. And then he wins the championship because Undertaker makes his return and everything as the biker, MAGA taker, as it were, and ends up winning the championship back. And then we go to King of the Ring 2000, where Shane McMahon gets the whirlwind choke slam through the goddamn table. Triple H loses the championship after Vince gets pinned in that six-man tag for the WWE Championship. Convoluted stuff. And he continues to rise up. We have the feud with Kurt Angle, the Unlikely Alliance, Angle winning to give it Stephanie. That triple threat match where the table gives way, Triple H ends up braining Kurt Angle on accident. And then him and Rock have a feud, for a bit. Angle wins the championship. Triple H has a feud with Austin. The great match with Kurt Angle at Royal Rumble 2001. And then he has a terrific 3 Stages of Hell match. One of my favorite matches in Triple H's career as far as just great impact. Him and Austin having a great match there. And then that leads to one of my favorite matches is Undertaker versus Triple H at Mania 17. Even though you could argue that the ref took a goddamn nap for way too goddamn long, that was a really good match. Really, really good stuff. Then we get the 2-man power trip. Him and Austin. Triple H is the Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion. Austin is the WWF and Tag Team Champion. And then Triple H tears his quad in a match against the two Chris's, Jericho and Redacted. And is out for a number of months. Out throughout the entirety of the invasion angle, and they start running these vignettes with U2's Beautiful Day, all this. He's taking this time off. This is when he was a full-fledged babyface, came back, huge reaction, Madison Square Garden, huge pop, January 7th or 8th, 2002. 7th or 8th, I forget the exact date. It's one of those two. Huge pop, they had to run his music twice, he was all thrilled, he was juiced to the fucking gills. He wasn't the only one, but god fucking damn it, look at him. Look at how he looked he was already in great shape, but take a look at how he was. Good old squeaky chair. Let's just have a squeaky chair happen. But he was in phenomenal shape. He also couldn't really fucking move. He won the Royal Rumble, had a brief feud with Angle, then had that feud with Jericho that was less about Triple H and Jericho, more about Triple H and Stephanie. And he won the championship, then lost it to Hulk Hogan at Backlash 2002 after getting screwed over. And then had an underappreciated Hell in a Cell match against Chris Jericho. And then would suffer an injury, I think a bicep or something like that. He would have various matches, throughout the summer. he would then, and actually, I would argue, well, actually, he wasn't part of that match, but he was then, brought back, or he was brought back into the NWO fold, or brought back into the fold with Shawn Michaels, when Shawn Michaels was the leader of the NWO, the WWE version, for a cup of coffee. This is all around the time where, just a year prior, Triple H got yelled at by Shawn, and basically he obviously loved him. They were like brothers. They were closer than most brothers. But that just couldn't happen because Shawn was so goddamn messed up. Shawn got clean. He traded drugs for a fictitious being in the sky, but that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. And they were aligned. And then they reunited as DX, and then he pedigreed him. And oh my God, then suddenly somebody had attacked Shawn Michaels. Who was it? It was Triple H. And then they had Shawn Michaels' comeback match, where Triple H even said to Shawn's mother, he will not have a scratch on him. And from there, we had that feud going. Triple H ended up beating down Shawn Michaels, taking him out. And then the Reign of Terror starts, where he had the championship for a couple months. He was just gifted the WCW, or the World Heavyweight Championship. Lost in the Elimination Chamber, where he nearly died because RVD's knee landed on his larynx and crushed it. That's some tough shit to get through that stuff. He won it back, and 3 Stages of Hell match with Shawn Michaels at Armageddon 2002. And then would embark on basically a reign of terror pretty much for a while. He would face Scott Steiner in 2 not good matches. And then we're going to get to the one moment that I basically have to rant plenty about. People like you, the feud with Booker T, people like you are here to make people like me laugh. Someone like you should never be champion. Fetch me a towel. You could just do a little dance for me. And all they had to do, and I'm going to keep this brief because it's talking about Triple H's crib, but all they had to fucking do was have Booker T win, and they couldn't. He hit a pedigree and took 20 or so seconds to cover him and got a finger over him. He decided to finger him right there and get the victory. Yay! Great way to bury Booker for no goddamn reason. Hooray! And the Triple H Reign of Terror continued. He faced all his friends. He faced off against Kevin Nash in a series of matches that weren't very good. And then he didn't lose to Goldberg at the Elimination Chamber match at SummerSlam 2003. Doing the sledgehammer stuff people were pissed about. He had a groin injury. Would dropping it there have really fucking mattered? Because he needed time off anyway, and even though he came back for a little bit, or came back a little bit later, he was back by Survivor Series 2003. Goldberg was ready for it then. Sure, you could argue that a month wasn't that bad, but no, it was fucking horseshit, and it was stupid, and it was a clear political play. Whether Goldberg was actually accepted fully by the WWE audiences, that night was the perfect time to pull the goddamn trigger and do it, but nope, Triple H just couldn't let go of it. He just couldn't. And then he won the World Heavyweight Championship back at Armageddon 2003, and actually have a terrific match against Shawn Michaels, one of my favorite matches of his career, on the last Raw of 2003. And another terrific match, a last man standing match at Royal Rumble 2004. And then Mania 20, talked about that, check it out. It is one of the best Triple H, matches that you will see. Triple threat stuff, Backlash 2004, and they recreated the whole Montreal thing. Shawn Michaels tapped out in Montreal to the sharpshooter from Benoit. But even though Benoit was the champion, Triple H was still in the picture. He was doing stuff. And then eventually he would win the championship back after Randy Orton beat Benoit, and then he would beat Orton the next month. And then they would engage in a feud where Orton was a face, but he wasn't ready to be a face. And some of that stuff worked, some of that actually it didn't. Because it was still the Reign of Terror. From 2002, like September 2002 to Mania 2000, or Mania 21, it was dire. It was really dire. They then go into the feud with Batista that was perfectly built. They didn't touch except after the powerbomb. Boom, you did that. Great stuff. Batista wins the Mania 21 match, wins the Backlash match, wins the Hell in a Cell match. And at this point, Triple H is doing really good work. He's doing some great work. Of course, he's off the goddamn juice, but he's doing really good work. And then we flash forward to the Royal Rumble 2006. I mean, he did have the feud with Flair briefly, like I think it was Survivor Series 2005, where Flair was the Intercontinental Champion and then knocked out for a number of weeks. And then he showed back up at the Rumble. But him and Ray were two of the last people in the Rumble, Triple H and Ray. And then Orton would end up being eliminated by Ray. And that was it. Triple H would then face Cena at Mania 22. And from there, he would get more entertained. They'd reunite DX. Great moment. And Triple H and Shawn, they had some more adult humor, but they were guys in their 40s trying to do this kind of stuff. And I think Shawn was 40, I think Triple H was just about 40. But they did, because I think they're about the same age. Triple H might be a little bit younger. But the whole point is, they were doing some good stuff, and then Triple H, they would bury the Spirit Squad, which is, whatever, it is what it is, but only one member of them is still even around. Dolph Ziggler, Nikki! A.k.a. Dolph Ziggler. And from there, Triple H's career would continue to be, big matches. He would face off. He wouldn't be part of Mania 23 because he suffered a quad injury, taking on Rated RKO at New Year's Revolution 2007. He'd be out until he flattened Booker T at SummerSlam 2007. Had a brief championship run at No Mercy 2007. Orton lost the championship and won the championship back by the end. Triple H defended against Umaga. Him and Umaga had a good series of matches. And then Triple H's career, by the time we get to 2008, he's still doing some great work. And then he had a feud with Randy Orton leading into 2009. The Mania 25 match wasn't all that good, but then he had, better matches, except Orton did end up suffering a shoulder injury at, I believe it was it? No, it was, One Night Stand 2008 is when Orton suffered the shoulder injury, because by One Night, or Extreme Rules 2009, that was Batista versus Orton, and Triple H was still having great matches. Of course he was, because even though he was 17 years into his career, he was still delivering some great performances. Was part of the 2010 Rumble. He did help put over Jeff Hardy in 2008 when Jeff Hardy won the WWE Championship. And there were great... Actually, I would argue No Mercy 2008 might actually be a better match than that triple threat. And from there, it's impossible, again, to encapsulate all the great matches that he had in his career. We flash forward to the Royal Rumble 2010. He's one of the last few in there. He has a match against Sheamus at Mania 26. He beats him and then loses at Extreme Rules 2010, and thus ends the full-time career of Triple H. He would make appearances and have runs, but it was never quite the same. He would face off against Undertaker at Mania 27 in a match I didn't necessarily care for. I'm sticking to it. And then he had that end of an era match against Triple H versus Triple H. Triple H versus Undertaker, end of an era at Mania 28. And then he would be the COO. He'd be the backstage guy. He was doing some stuff like helping Dusty with NXT and eventually bringing NXT into his own vision, all the while still competing. That Perfect Storm match versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2012, not all that great. And then he faced off against Brock at Mania 29, and then he would lose to Brock at Extreme Rules 2013. Of course, I skipped over the Summer of Punk stuff in 2011 because, of course, he had to squash CM Punk, and it was really fucking stupid. They squashed CM Punk, at Night of Champions 2011, and then was teaming up with them and everything, and Punk had to take the pin, and they killed off Punk's momentum. All the while, Triple H was being this kind, he was supposed to be the guy that was running the company and everything and running it fairly, but no, he's being kind of a backstage political prick. Him and Stephanie are raising their kids. And then we flash forward, then we left off at Extreme Rules 2013. He then helped Randy Orton win the WWE Championship, cashing in on Bryan Danielson. Anytime he was in the ring, he would do the authority thing or whatever, but then eventually he had one of the best opening matches again in Mania history against Bryan Danielson. Daniel Bryan, that's what he was back then. Terrific stuff. His last great match, in my opinion. Then Mania 31, he beat Sting for no goddamn reason. He would have other sporadic appearances. His WWE Championship run in 2016, winning at the Royal Rumble just to put over Roman Reigns in a lengthy Mania that I think is still going on in some alternate universe. And then he would He would face off against Seth Rollins at Mania 33 and Mania 34. He would be part of the mixed tag match that got Ronda Rousey really over. And also, he would have his final match against Batista at Mania 35. And all the time, he's cultivating this whole thing of signing a bunch of indie guys and making NXT the black and gold brand instead of just developmental, making it this great thing that a lot of people loved. It was an alternative. Triple H loves professional wrestling. He truly does. You can tell that from the various people he's signed. A lot of clips are floating around. He would do the whole thing, we are NXT, in the Barclays Center for TakeOver Brooklyn 2015 and the first big venue that they were in. And now who knows what the fuck they're going to do with Stand and Deliver, but Triple H has nothing to do with that. Triple H, his career, impossible to encapsulate all in one thing. But he meant a lot behind the scenes as well. A lot of people look up to him. Some people don't. There are still stories that come out about Triple H not being the best person to necessarily cross. I mean, then again, you don't want to cross the boss, but if Triple H likes you, he likes you, but he also has Triple H guys. And then Vince put him in an unenviable position where they had NXT go up against AEW, and they poured money into it. They got a TV contract and everything, and NXT kind of got a little bit crushed. Not totally, but it kind of got crushed because they were having to hotshot the goddamn thing instead of letting storylines build. The live aspect helped, but it got to where it got away from the vision. Overall, though, Triple H's career, I mean, if you have to think about his best matches, I say a SummerSlam 98 match against The Rock was pretty goddamn good. And it was it No Mercy? Was it No Mercy 99 in October, I think, where he had a cage match against The Rock, or something. It was some cage match he had against The Rock that was great. The series of matches he had with Mick Foley outside the King of the Ring 97 match are always really fucking good. Triple H's influence backstage and on the product will still be felt for years and years and years. And hopefully he can be happy, healthy, and just enjoy himself and really just be a great family man and have a lot of fun doing what he did. And just in a different way. He doesn't need to be in the ring anymore. You could argue he didn't need to be in the ring after Mania 30, quite frankly. Because putting over Daniel Bryan was about the best way to go out. But it is what it is. At least he has his health. He seems to be good. He's got a defibrillator, but he seems to be good, and hopefully he can have a happy life with his family and still contribute in positive ways. But there's a lot of great shit in Triple H's career. There's a lot of bad shit that we could focus on. The Katie Vick thing, didn't even bring up the goddamn Katie Vick thing because I have a form of PTSD from that. And various others, burying people and just burying various talents and stuff like that. Yes, the golden shovel. We could go with that. But we're going to be positive here. So that's how I'm going to end it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. How do you view Triple H's career? I want to know, guys. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.